everybody who's involved in speaking your mind about this issue, because unfortunately when it came up in November, nobody knew. Nobody knew. One of my first questions was, when the proposal came up, is when do we plan on voting on this? Now, anybody who has been with local government knows it takes months, if not years, to get anything up for a vote, and I was told 2 weeks. We were voting the next time we all got together. That is not typical, that is not right, and that does not allow for our public to be able to give feedback to the commission, to the municipality, of what they want to see in their community. And I don't think that is fair at all. Do you?
No.
As a commissioner, they don't give us a big book about what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to do it. They just tell us, go and work for the people, be a public servant. Well, part of that is that we have to educate ourselves on a million issues on a given day. So this came up, artificial turf. And I will say, not because he's not here, but because he told me to say it, my husband was on the school board when they went ahead and they approved the turf field in 2010. There was no information to that school board. There was no reason for them to have any concerns about the turf field. And when he started to see the research that I was doing, he was sick to his stomach that he was in a part of that process and approved a field on the high school that is exposing our current high school students and the members of this community. Charlotte said that I should explain MSDS. The MSDS is like any ingredient list that you see on the back of food or anything like that. We got it the Friday before the vote for the tire crumb material. So Friday, I believe we voted on Monday or Tuesday. So we only got 3 or 4 days to look through a 13-page document full of warnings. And if anybody's seen that video, some of those commissioners had not even looked at that document. They were asking me for page numbers. This is what I found: a concoction of acetone, arsenic, barium, benzene, protium, lead, black carbon, zinc. And then I went, uh-oh, we're in trouble, and this is what we're going to commit to. I am not a chemistry anything. You have people here that are experts in science. I barely passed in high school, I will readily admit. But I knew that these materials that were being exposed to all of our residents, not only the youngest, but the most vulnerable, pregnant mothers that are there with their kids, the coaches, the refs, we're all being exposed to these items. The first one that I looked up was black carbon. Black carbon is a permanent exposure. Once it's in your lungs, once it's in your inside of you, you can't get rid of it. It ends up being something that permanently affects your body. And we are going to let this community and the neighbors around the community be exposed to these harmful effects. I continue to read this because it almost seems unbelievable that we would approve something with such a warning. This was on page 7 of the MSDS sheet. Emergency overview and warning in big bold letters. Lung injury and cancer hazards. Do not breathe dust. May cause delayed lung injury. Long-term exposure can cause scoliosis. Scoliosis is a respiratory disease which can result in delayed disability and sometimes fatal lung injury. IARC has determined that cilia inhaled from occupational sources can cause cancer in humans. Risk of injury is dependent on the duration and the level of exposure. A single exposure will not result in serious adverse effects. We had options, we had alternates, not only grass, but natural ingredients in this turf, and we still chose the one with the highest warning label. One thing that I looked up last night is nationwide in terms of workers. What is the rate of cancer? What I do know now is that there is a higher rate for workers in tire plants of cancer than most other facilities throughout this country. These are the people who are grinding up the tires and putting them on the field for our kids to inhale them, ingest them, and everything else. And they are noted as one of the highest rated employees of cancer in this country. What we know is that tires are flammable. And if anybody sat in the commission meeting and I said, what are we going to do if somebody lights a cigarette, if the fireworks end up falling onto it? Because there are pictures out there, if you look on YouTube, of artificial turfs literally lighting in fire like a bonfire in seconds. What was the answer from the consultant? Great news, Commissioner Frosch. We now put flammable retardants. Spray them. It's in the tires and it's on the field. My response was, aren't they being banned? Our kids no longer can have them on their pajamas. We can no longer have them in direct, proximity to people and their skin. And you're telling me great news? And he looked at me, he didn't say anything, and he said, I thought that was good. This is our expert. The one major thing on the listing, as you will, if you did see the video, that one of my fellow commissioners indicated, I'm trying to keep it gender neutral, they indicated they had not read it several times in the MSDS sheet. It said level 2, moderate hazard. I asked the consultant, what does that mean? I don't know. Why are we not only voting on something, but considering something that we don't know about? Well, I want to tell you a little bit about a story of one of the advocates that came to me. One of the advocates for the sports group came to me and said, Kelly, we should give more to our kids than what we had. Our society evolves and grows, and we should be able to give our kids more and better things than what we had. He was pleading to me because he knew I was a soccer player. I had said multiple times, what's wrong with grass? And he continued to tell me that as our society grows, that we should consider artificial turf as a better product, better for our kids, and not have any concerns about it. Well, obviously, there's a lot of things that are glaringly wrong with some of those statements. However, my biggest one, when I walked away, was thinking, but we also have to learn from our past. We also have to learn from the things that have happened in this country that there were big oopses on. Tobacco. Tobacco for decades went through and said that it was the best social enjoyment that had ever been available to the American people. It was actually healthy. It would help you lose weight. We've heard some of that in the commission chambers about artificial turf, have we not? Asbestos. This was the best kept secret. Everybody was supposed to get something with asbestos in it, including your cooking sheets, to make sure that they didn't burn your cookies. Guaranteed to be safe, that even babies were subject to holding fibers of asbestos on commercials to show how safe it really was. Doctors were coming out saying that they picked certain preferences for cigarettes because they felt that it was healthier for their body and would get them to stop coughing with the other brands. When did Mount Lebanon become followers? That has been the biggest question I've had. Many times people come into the commission and say, we want to be the leaders. We want this community to step forward and do something and make sure that we show the leadership not only of the county but of the state. And we have chosen in this particular issue to become the followers that we so don't want to be on a regular basis. So we're going to follow up for St. Clair. We're going to follow Peters. We're going to follow all these other communities. And then we're going to have to follow them when we have to rip it out in a few years when it's considered a hazardous material by this country and it's going to be banned. And then it's going to cost us millions and millions of dollars to get it out of here. This is not what this community is about. This is not why I moved to this community. This is not why we should be sitting and being okay with this. This is not something that our children should be exposed to, our next generations, any of the parents, any of the neighbors. We should be fighting for each and every one of them. And I appreciate all of you coming out, all of you saying something to the commission and each of the commissioners, and continue to fight, because you know what? Everybody asks me this. I know my fellow commissioners don't agree with it, but they can stop this today. They can stop this today, they can stop it tomorrow, they could have stopped it yesterday. They could come up with another material that is safer, they could come up with grass that is becoming more and more available for better products. We don't have to worry about the condition of these fields. We just have to do the right thing and get these tires out of that field before they're laid. Thank you. Yay.